A CIA agent only known as the protagonist participates in an undercover operation at a Kiev opera house. His life is saved by a masked soldier with a red trinket who unfires a bullet through a gunman after seizing an artifact. The protagonist is captured by mercenaries. He endures torture. Before consuming cyanide, he awakens to learn the cyanide was a test of loyalty. His team has been killed and the artifact lost. The protagonist is recruited by an organization called TENET. A scientist shows him bullets with inverted entropy in which they move backwards through time. She believes they are manufactured in the future and a weapon exists that can wipe out the past. Aided by a contact named Neil, the protagonist traces the bullets to arms dealer Priya Singh in Mumbai. He discovers she is a member of TENET. Her cartridges were purchased and inverted by Russian oligarch Andrei Sadar. The protagonist approaches Sadar's estranged wife Kat, an art appraiser who authenticated a Goya drawing forged by a man named Arapo, which Sadar purchased from him. Sadar uses the drawing to blackmail her and keep her under control. The protagonist plots to steal the drawing with Neil from a facility at the Oslo airport. There they find a machine, a turnstile, and fend off two masked men. Priya explains the turnstile can invert the entropy of objects and people, and the masked men were the same person in Italy. Kat introduces the protagonist to Sadar, but learned the drawing is intact. The three go boating where Kat attempts to drown Sadar, but the protagonist saves him. He offers to help Saito retrieve a case, which he says contains plutonium in Tallinn, Estonia. The protagonist and Neil ambush a convoy and steal the case, which contains the artifact lost in Kiev. They are ambushed by an inverted Sadar who holds Kat hostage. The protagonist gives Sadar an empty case, and he retreats. The protagonist saves Kat, but is captured and taken to Sadar's warehouse, which has an inversion turnstile. The inverted Sadar shoots Kat with an inverted round while the normal Sadar demands the location of the artifact. The protagonist gives him false information. TENET operatives led by Ives rescues the protagonist while Sadar escapes. The group take Kat through Sadar's turnstile to invert her, reversing the effect of the round. The protagonist returns to the ambush site and chases Sadar. His vehicle is overturned and set on fire. The protagonist is saved. Neil reveals he is a member of TENET. The protagonist and Neil travel back in time to the airport in Oslo. The protagonist fights his past self and enters the turnstile and reverts, followed by Neil and Kat. Priya tells them artifacts are part of an algorithm which Sadar is assembling capable of catastrophically inverting entropy. Kat reveals Sadar is dying from pancreatic cancer. He will trigger the algorithm, believing the world should die with him. Kat believes Sadar will kill himself. During their vacation, the protagonist, Neil, Kat, and the TENET forces invert back to that day so Kat can delay Sadar's death, while TENET secures the algorithm. TENET tracks the algorithm to Sadar's hometown in northern Siberia in a temporal pincer movement. Red team troops move forward in time, while the blue team troops move backward. The protagonist and Ives are aided by a masked corpse of a blue team trooper with a red trinket on his backpack. After seeing him dying in reverse in Vietnam, Kat boards Sadar's yacht and kills him as the protagonist and Ives secure the algorithm. The protagonist Neil and Ives break up the algorithm and part ways. The protagonist notices the trinket on Neil's rucksack. Neil reveals he was recruited by the protagonist in the future, and this mission is the end of a long friendship. Priya attempts to have Kat assassinated, but is killed by the protagonist, who reveals he is the mastermind behind TENET.